Hey guys. Alright, so this is just a quickie on lithiums. So you can buy lithium cells online, places like Alibaba, DHgate, Chinese direct lithium cells. Don't expect that you're going to get brand new cells. They're probably going to be used. I bought these new, and yet you can see that they were obviously a part of something else before and were cut free. So these are used even though I bought them new. When you buy on any of those places like DHgate or AliExpress, just expect that the lithium cells you're going to get are not brand new. So don't pay a premium. So what we have here, these are lipo cells. You've got LFE, LiPo, and LiFePO4. Those are the main contenders in the lithium market. Lipos are the ones that you generally think of for rechargeable lithiums. They're what's in RC cars, cell phones, that kind of stuff. They're also the ones that are prone to thermal runaway and can catch fire. Extremely rare, and it's only once it's been fully discharged and it's starting to take a charge again that heat up starts to happen. So as long as you're careful and you don't fully discharge, lipos are perfectly fine. These are 50 amp hour lithium lipo cells. This is a 150 amp hour lipo cell, just so you can see the difference in size. So standalones, this isn't going to be universal. Always double check with the multimeter. But red is positive, black is negative. When you're stringing these things together, I like using pieces of copper. Just drill a hole and tap. If you're trying to make a 100 amp capacity battery out of 50 amp capacity cells, twin them like this, and then use this to continue on for your next series run. And that way you're basically creating 100 amp hour units. When you go to link them together, they should be strung like this. And you can see positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative. That creates your series cell. Now this is strung for a 12 volt series. Clip this on here real quick. And you can see, there you go. So 4 lipo cells make one 12 volt battery. Now the fun thing is, because lipos are 3.7 volts nominal, lifepos are 3.45, it only takes 7 lipo cells to make a 24 volt battery. When you go to string this together with a BMS, what you're going to be doing is attaching each one of these red leads to each one of these bridgers. The idea is each one of these red leads should be sensing a positive for an individual cell. So if you were to hook this up appropriately, you would have red lead, red lead, red lead, red lead, as you're going across all of your cells here. And then the black is your final off. The BMS, before you hook this in, you would take your multimeter and check each and every single one of these to make sure that from your ground, your black line, you're only going up in increments of 3.7 each time to verify that this is wired properly. Once the harness is wired properly, it can be plugged in. Now on the BMS module itself, you'll see there's a B-, that's battery negative. You will put this to the negative terminal of the end of your battery. So in this case it would be here. This would then be the exterior of your battery. All of this goes inside a battery case, and this would be your negative lead. The positive lead for your LiPo battery would come straight off of the positive for the end run of your cell. In that case, it would be this terminal. So you would extend this wire out through your case and a wire from here out through the case, and that would be your positive and negative terminals for your battery. All the cells would then be contained within whatever you're putting in, along with your BMS module. So the BMS modules are rated by types. You can see there 724. So this is designed for a 7-cell system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that will add up to 24 volts. In order to have that combination, they have to be LiPo batteries. LiFePO, L-I-F-P-P-O 4s, won't add up that way. You'll need 8 cells. Only LiPos, L-I-P-Os, will add up 7 to a 24 volt battery. Now again, the difference, LiPo is riskier because there is the possibility of thermal runaway. LiFePO 4s are safer. They don't have that thermal runaway. But LiFePO 4 batteries, because each cell is only a 3.4, it takes 8 of them to build your battery. And they also, their BMSs are designed to limit their out current a little bit more than LiPos are. You'll get a larger surge current out of a LiPo pack than you will a LiFePO 4 pack. This is a LiFePO 4 pack, the safer one. You can see that there are 8 cells in line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each one is series strung to the one next to it. These are 100 amp hour individual cells. Therefore, this is a 100 amp hour battery. And since there are 8 of them, this is a 24 volt LiFePO 4 pack. I have 2 battery management systems attached to this. They are just twinned, they're paralleling each other, so that the output at each terminal will combine the results of both of these BMSs. This is a 100 amp hour BMS module. This is a 20 amp hour BMS module. So the combined output of the battery at the terminals will be 24 volts and 120 amp hour capacity. You can see here I've got it bridged across the terminals. It is currently sitting at 26.4 volts. Now, I have this bridged in parallel with a LiPo pack, which is also at 26.2. So these are the packs that are currently powering my system. And these are all ones that I have hand built, and this is perfectly safe. These little tiny leads are sensors for the BMS module. They determine the individual state of charge of each one of these cells, and they adjust how much power from the charging current is being given to each one of these cells to top them all off and keep them all appropriately at their maximum capacities. And that is what keeps these lithium packs in a good state. You don't have these BMSs attached to it. The individual cells can discharge at different rates, and that can lead to one cell going too low, one cell going too high. You can get damage to the pack, all kinds of problems, which is why the BMS modules are absolutely required. As you can see, I just built this battery pack and threw it into an old planter box. It works. It's plastic, it insulates it, and unlike normal batteries, these do not off-gas. There's no threat of, any potential damage. The LiFePO 4 packs are very stable and very safe. Pretty much the only thing you need to do is throw some kind of insulative barrier on it just to make sure that nothing gets dropped on it and shorts the terminals. Super simple, just keep it plastic and keep it warm. If it goes below freezing and takes a charge, it will absolutely destroy your pack instantly and turn it into one giant paperweight. And just for the close-up, this is the pack's positive cell. You can see the 2 red wires that are coming off of it, right here and right here. That's 1 sense lead for one battery management system and 1 sense lead for the other battery management system. And then that white wire is the actual positive lead for the battery pack. That is what is wired out to the system. The black line coming across here is what is wired for the negative for the system. Those are your terminals for your battery. And those wires come straight to the battery management system. You can see the P negative on each of these. P negative, C negative, just depends on the maker of the board. Those are wired together. The negative terminal for your battery should go to the battery management system, not to the negative terminal of one of the cells. And then on the other side of the battery management system, its B minus wire is what actually goes to the negative wire of the cell. And then you can also see the black sense wires are what are attached here. Black sense wire for BMS module 1, black sense wire for BMS module 2, and the negative wires from the BMS modules. That is how you wire this appropriately. Lastly, the purpose for building your own. It's a standard lithium battery that's designed for off-grid application, meaning it's something that's at least 100 amps. That's what you want as a minimum, 100 amp hour capacity. Jack, quiet. It's going to run you about $1,000. You can catch one on sale for maybe $800, but for the most part, it's going to be about $1,000 per 100 amp hour battery if you buy it pre-built. If you buy the cells and you're shrewd and take your time, you can get the cells for about $200 to build the entire battery, all of the cells. If you're just kind of trying to get it done fast, you're going to pay about $400. But if you take your time and actually do some bargain hunting, you can find them for about $200 for the entire pack. The BMS module, a 100 amp BMS for your LiPo or LiPo 4 pack, should only run you about $40 to $60. So you can build your own lithium pack for about $250 or $450 for a 100 amp hour, or you can buy a pre-made one for about $1,000. And here's the kicker: the ones that you buy that are about $1,000, if you're buying a 24 volt pack, you're only getting a 50 amp battery. Yeah, so you need 2 of those. So it's basically $2,000 to get a 24 volt 100 amp hour battery versus making it yourself for $250 to $450. So what I did is I started with LiPos and I built LiPo packs. I have a 100 amp hour LiPo and a 50 amp hour LiPo. And then I added in a 110 amp hour LiPo 4 pack. The reason I did that is because I have a ginormous magnesine inverter, 4800 watt big boy. So those, because the capacitors are so large, they will overload a LiPo 4 pack battery management system. They suck too much current too fast when they turn on. The LiPos can handle that current load. LiPos discharge fast and heavy and maintain their voltage. So if you need like heavy duty draw, I would suggest throwing a LiPo pack in there. There's nothing wrong with paralleling the packs. You can have LiPos and LiPo 4s together. I have done it for over 2 years now. A lot of people will tell you you can't do it because their end stage voltages are different, but really it's only a couple of points off. And what I do is I set my charge controller to 28.8. That's its maximum charge, and that tops off both battery packs perfectly fine. I should get about 10, maybe even 15 years out of those packs there. That's a good long run. And the other thing is, unlike lead acids, which you can only get about 40% of capacity out of them, you can run those lithiums pretty much all the way down to 10%, and they're going to keep chugging for you. The LiPo pack that I've had for 2.5 years now, I have routinely discharged that thing down to 19 volts. Yes, beyond death! And it is still functioning just fine. Something that no other battery could possibly have handled. So yeah, just something to consider. You don't need to pay $10,000 to get a 300 amp hour pack. You can pay closer to about $800 if you're building them yourself. That's what I did.